Hi, welcome back to Indian Economy Sessions. Up to now, we have discussed what is a non-performing assets and types of non-performing assets. To understand exactly the non-performing asset concept or the present issues in banking, we are supposed to understand what are the reasons behind these escalating, ever-increasing NPAs in Indian banking system. So, what are the reasons? So we know that whatever the functioning of public sector banks is there, it is quite below the standards when compared to scheduled commercial private sector banks and scheduled commercial foreign banks, because the legal backup that public sector banks are having, the security of the bank employees are having, job security the banks employees are having, which you cannot find in private sector banks or foreign banks. So that additional security of job, whatever it is there, it is one of the major reasons behind the legal backup given to banking employees for their job security is one of the major reasons behind ever increasing concept of non-performing assets in one way. But we are not supposed to discuss such things on the board or on the paper, so we'll directly dealing with the very vast concept called, we all know that the efficiency of the banking system. So in what way we are supposed to calculate the efficiency of the banking system? So what are the parameters which are not actually not followed by the banks? Any such regulatory mechanism is there for the efficiency of the banks? We will see. Whenever the efficiency bank comes, the very first parameter for the efficiency and the wellness or the goodness or the best functioning of the bank is it is its CAR, capital adequacy ratio. Don't get confused with these kind of terms whenever you come across like this. Capital adequacy ratio means adequacy means sufficient. How much you want, capital you know. So how much the amount at present is required. For example, the basic definition of a bank is like this. Some people will deposit and some people will lend from the bank. If more lendings are there, then the security of the bank will be in risk. So whatever has gone out of the bank and whatever is there in the bank, whatever the amount has gone out of the bank and whatever the amount is within the bank is nothing but capital adequacy ratio. In simple terms, learn economy like that. How much is there in the bank after giving in the form of loans? How much the bank is having? For example, 100 rupees is there in the bank, out of 70 rupees has gone in the form of loans and 30 rupees is there in the bank. That is nothing but capital adequacy ratio to go on through your regular functions and regular working expenditure, whatever is there, how much amount is there in your hand exactly after lending so much amount, how much is there in your hand? That is nothing but capital adequacy ratio. Because if I'm depositing some amount of money in my savings account, at one point or the other point of time I'm going to take that money. If the bank is not unable to give back my money which is there in my savings account, it indicates that it is in risk. So whatever this entire mechanism is there, how much is deposited by the depositors and how much is deposited in all other forms and how much has been lended out, how much has been came into interest form, because whenever a loan is there interest will come. So all these things net will be calculated, and that nothing, the net is nothing but capital adequacy ratio. How much cash you are having after giving loans and after taking so many deposits. So how much you are having to do your regular activities without any risk or without any problem, that is capital adequacy ratio. For this capital adequacy ratio, so many suggestions are there. For example, first thing is, please take care of your assets and liability management, that is called ALM concept is there. And one very beautiful concept is there for better efficiency of the banks, that is CAMELS norms, thanks to S Padmanabhan committee. So Camel's norms were there. Camel's norms will give the efficiency of the bank. For example, if the efficiency of the bank is increasing, Camel's norms will give A rank or B rank. If the efficiency of the bank is decreasing, Camel's norms will give C, D, E ranks. In recent times, you have been observed that there are some banks which are merged with other public sector banks. For example, Andhra Bank has been merged with Union Bank of India. That indicates that Andhra Bank has not worked on the guidelines of Camel's norms. Maybe it is in rank C or rank D. So, as a precautionary step, RBI has merged it with Reserve Bank of India. I am again repeating the concept. The reasons behind a non-performing assets, the very first reason will be efficiency of the bank, and efficiency of the bank is calculated. The very first parameter will be capital adequacy ratio. Capital adequacy ratio, I have explained it in detail. How much there in your hand after lending loans. So to increase that kind of efficiency, asset liability management concept is there, and to give precautionary suggestions to warn the banks, Camel's norms are also there. Camel's norms will give the banks rankings to the banks like rank A, rank B, rank C, rank D, rank E. If the bank is having either A rank or B rank, then there will be no problem. If the rank goes to C, then there is a possibility of collapse of the bank. So structural adjustments has to be made with that bank. That is the reason behind merging of Andhra Bank with Union Bank of India. So the parameter behind merging of banks is Camel's norms only, because Camel's norms will give you the exact position of the bank, whether it is working perfectly or in a good position, or it is going towards bad position, or it is going to collapse. Then Camel's norms were given by, actually in Indian context, Camel's norms were followed throughout the world, but Indian context they were suggested by S. Padmanabhan. So we should thank this person, S. Padmanabhan committee recommendations. On the basis of S. Padmanabhan committee recommendations, we have Camels. Then for the efficiency of the banks, we also have this prompt corrective action framework also. So this thing also is a parameter through which the banks are getting instructed, and everything is tightened by the RBI. So whenever there is efficiency, the very first reason behind the NPAs is the efficiency, the working efficiency of the banks is decreasing with respect to capital adequacy ratio, and also focus on this thing also. They are taking very light these two things, tier 1 capital and tier 2 capital, and Basel 3 norms were being neglected. Basel 3 norms. So Basel 3 norms only focus point is Basel is a place in Switzerland where you have International Bank of Settlement you have. So Basel norms, Basel 3 norms are the basis of tier 1 and tier 2 capital. If you're not protecting your tier 1 and tier 2 capital, then the efficiency of the bank will decrease. So this thing is one more reason behind the efficiency of the bank. So if they are maintaining their tier 1 and tier 2 capital in a good healthy manner, then the efficiency of the bank will increase. If the capital adequacy ratio is good according to the norms of the Reserve Bank of India, then the health of the bank is very good. So the efficiency is one of the major reasons behind increasing NPAs. The second reason is legal framework. For example, if anyone has taken a loan, and if that person is not repaying it, the legal framework is in India is very weak. For example, with respect to non-performing assets, we have SARFAESI Act. Actually, this act has been introduced with many expectations, but this has been a complete failure actually. So whatever the legal framework is there to collect the loans is very weak in India. It takes a cumbersome procedure. It takes huge time. So in that time, the bank is not going to adjust itself. There are number of reasons are there for not collecting these things. One of the major reasons is very well known reason, it is political influence on those corporate loans or multinational company loans or any loan taken by an SME or MSME. So some, either it is a political interruption, or it is the negligence of the banking staff, or it is the legal framework. If everything is going right, then the legal framework works very slowly. The courts, whatever the legal structure is there, they will not deliver this kind of judgments that much speedy manner. So the very first reason behind increasing NPAs is efficiency. The second one is legal framework. And third thing is sectors like, for example, agriculture sector is there, which is not going to have a continuous, permanent, regular income. And the functioning of SMEs and MSMEs is also very weak in India. And you can take some extent loans provided to such kind of people which have given false assets actually. So whatever the asset value is there, it is a false value, false assets. So these are the three major reasons behind increasing NPAs in Indian context. Other reasons are also there, but they are not important in our examination point of view, and we cannot discuss them in an economy context. They are general reasons like political interference of the political people, and corruption in banking. We are not supposed to deal such kind of things here. They are general things. So technically, only technical things we are discussing: efficiency of the banks with respect to capital adequacy ratio, efficiency of the banks with tier 1 and tier 2 capital. And there are some parameters to suggest that, okay Baba, you are not working properly, please try to increase your efficiency, please try to do good things, improve your health. Such kind of things are there on the basis of asset liability management thing is there. Camel's norms regularly warn them. And finally we have prompt corrective action also. And along with this SARFA Act, we have this thing, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India is there, along with IB code also we have. So much structural thing is there, but when it comes to implementation, everyone is being failed with respect to non-performing assets. And there is some contribution of agricultural loans and the loans taken by SME segment and MSME segment, and the loans which are given to false assets actually. Proper calculation of the asset is not done while giving the loan, that is a false asset. So these are the main things, and these are the main reasons behind increasing NPA. So why NPAs are increasing? Reasons increasing NPAs. Reasons, you have the very first reason, efficiency of the bank. If you want to speak it out technically, take capital adequacy ratio, take tier 1 capital, take tier 2 capital, take Basel 3 norms. Basel 3 norms not only for Indian context, they are global norms for banks to protect their tier 1 and tier 2 capital. Camel norms will give ranks to the banks on the basis of their performance. And we all know this is the latest thing, prompt corrective action. At present it is a hot thing which is going in Indian context. So with the help of prompt correcting action also, there is that much is not happening. With respect to non-performing assets in COVID first wave and second wave, the private banks has done beautiful things in increasing their asset quality, whereas the public sector banks still at point of time only, pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, there is no much difference in the asset quality and reducing the NPAs with respect to public sector banks. But the private sector banks has done beautifully in Indian context. And these are the reasons behind increasing NPS. Once again, I am repeating, it is the efficiency of the bank, very legal framework, and the major segment. For example, we have priority sector lending. In priority sector lending, huge amounts of loans are given to agriculture segment and SME and MSME segment. And whatever the things you do things like recapitalization of public sector banks, merging of public sector banks, and if you want to support other segments indirectly, like with Atmanirbhar Bharat, everything is on paper only. To say honestly, everything on paper only. We have number of things. We have priority sector lending. We have lead bank scheme. If the things are in a proper manner and proper way without any corruption or any kind of scam, then everything will go in the right manner. But because of many negative things, positive things are decreasing day by day. So these are the reasons behind the non-performing assets increasing, and reasons. Please focus on these points. That's all about this session. I'll continue with the remedies for these issues. Why, how we can sort it out, how we can solve the issue of non-performing assets. What are the steps taken by the Reserve Bank of India with respect to public sector banks? We all take it in our next session. Thank you.